Hello, everyone. Welcome to That's my introduction. Because I gotta get a cool one like all the other YouTubes. Astrology in the news. February 21st, 2018. Man, got some really good stuff for you today. Well, I don't know. I guess first things first, Billy Graham dead at 99. I mean, yeah, people die, but I mean, the dude lived to be 99, dude. That's pretty freaking cool. So, if you're not like familiar with Billy Graham, this guy is one of the most prolific Baptist preachers to ever live. And so I found his chart, and actually, we have a birth time for Billy Graham. So, taking a look at it, his ascendant is in Pisces, and so when we're looking for something like spirituality and being a priest, we look for Jupiter and things that are in Jupiter's sign. And so what we see here is we got his ascendant is in first in the sign of Pisces, ruled by Jupiter, and then also too we have the Mars and Moon are also conjunct in the sign of Sagittarius, which can show somebody in a leadership position or somebody that is geared toward organized religion. So then, if we look at the depositor, now the depositor of a planet in Vedic astrology is very important because wherever that is placed in the chart, it kind of gives the agenda of the planets that are in its sign. So here we have Jupiter in the fourth house in the sign of Gemini. Jupiter's retrograde too, and this is also aspecting Mars. So we have somebody that basically has a lot of passion. Now, when the Moon and Mars are together, that's called a what is it called? A Chandra Mangal Yoga, and that is a lot of passion. Really, we have people that will immediately jump into something, and once they find it, they will stick to it for a very long time. So yeah, Billy Graham found his calling at the age of 16, and so he lived also a very long life. So what gives a long life? Well, we take a look at the eighth house, and he actually has a couple of benefic planets here in the eighth house. He has the Sun and Venus there, and then also too Saturn can show like a longevity. So Saturn's also in the sixth house. So when you have Saturn in the sixth or the eighth or the 12th house, those are probably the better placements for Saturn. So, I mean, he also had, let's see, looking at the fixed stars. So, really, there's a couple powerful planetary positions here, but really, when we're looking at career as a preacher, it's the Moon and Mars here in the 10th house, conjunct, deposited by Jupiter. Okay. Now, another way to take a look at somebody in Vedic astrology that is usually tends to be priests is, believe it or not, in the nakshatra of Pusha here. Pushya. And Pushya is in the middle of Cancer. And in that area, that's where Jupiter's at his exaltation point. So if somebody has Jupiter inside of the Cancer, it could show me that's a preacher or a minister. I'm actually kind of surprised that Billy Graham doesn't have it in there. Now, if we take a look at his Navamsa chart here, this is pretty interesting. Go away, bar. Check this out. See there, magical powers. So we see that Venus is exalted in the sign of Pisces in the sixth house, and he has the Sun and Jupiter conjunct in the seventh house, which shows somebody that definitely has some leadership position. So as he aged, he kind of went into that leadership position. You know, I mean, when looking at the Navamsa chart, that's really what we're looking at. Because the Navamsa chart, really somebody as they age becomes more like the Navamsa chart. All right. So next thing in the news, Black Panther is making an ass load of money. How much is in an ass load? Apparently $200 million, which is probably a shitload. So once you get like maybe 5 shitloads, you'll get a buttload and all that stuff. But anyway, this movie is just raking in the cash. Of course, it's a February opening, and there's really not much going on. So, you know, you look at other openings and stuff like that that did well. Like, what was the other one with the wisecracking Spider-Man looking dude who healed really fast? I can't remember. Deadpool. Deadpool did. Yeah, see, I'm a big comic book nerd here. Deadpool did very well. So I'm like, hey, let's take a look at the couple of the characters and actors from Black Panther. And there's a couple of really cool charts. So I wanted to start with Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Boseman plays Black Panther himself. And he's actually, I don't know if he's relatively new to the acting scene, but I could not find a birth time for him. But what you do is, like I say, when we don't know the birth time for somebody, we use the moon as the ascendant. And you know what's really particularly fascinating about this guy's chart is his moon is conjunct the planet Rigel. Okay, so the moon conjunct Rigel, first of all, that's a very good placement. My moon is actually conjunct Rigel, so it's like right around this degree point. He also has Jupiter in that first house. Now, this is going by the moon ascendant. So if we're going by the moon, that's actually a very beneficial placement because whenever you have Jupiter in the first house of Vedic astrology, it tends to override a lot of the other negativity in the chart. Other things, we see Saturn is in the third house. Okay, Saturn in the third house is very good for productivity. It's a little bit difficult in the sign of Cancer, but when Saturn's in the third house, it gets better over time. So really, hard work pays off. And also, too, Saturn is the yoga karaka for Taurus. What does that mean? Well, it rules a yoga karaka is a planet that rules two auspicious houses. Now, in this case, it's for Taurus, it's the ninth and 10th house, which is Capricorn and Aquarius, which are ruled by Saturn. So he's got a yoga placed in the third house. He's got Jupiter in the first house, conjunct Rigel. Now, also, the other thing that's really cool is he's got all of these other planets in this, let's see, right here down in the sign of, what is that, Libra. And those are in the sixth house. Now, this could be his first house, but Mars and Mercury are conjunct, almost conjunct the sun. Uranus is there, and so is Rahu. So he could have been a lawyer if he wanted to as well, but I guess he decided to go into acting. So I don't know if he had some if he wanted to be a lawyer at some time, but really when I look at Libra, I think of lawyers, right? So the next person we're going to take a look at is Forrest Whitaker. Okay, this guy has a great chart. Also somebody that I found the birth time for. And also too, I feel good because finally there's another guy conjunct Pollux and what the planet conjunct Pollux, which I have my Mars there. It's kind of like Pollux. What is Pollux? Pollux is the other half of the Gemini twin. So we have Castor and Pollux. Pollux is more of the fighter. Okay, this is like in the legend of let's see, in Greek legend, Pollux killed Castor, and Castor was more, when you have stars conjunct Castor, it's more of like an artistic writing ability type star. But Pollux is really literally about fighting. Now I didn't see any boxing or anything like that in Forrest Whitaker's career, but that's something that I would wonder if he ever got into a lot of fistfights as a kid. I haven't read his biography. So his ascendant is in the sign of Virgo. Virgos are very hardworking. Now, one of the greatest things also too in this chart is that Sun is in Pollux and it's in the 10th house. It's also conjunct Mercury in the sign of Gemini. Great for actors or people that are in the media, people that like broadcasting and things like that. So that 10th house is very, very strong. Because of course the first lord is also in the 10th house too. A lot of great stuff. Venus in the sign of Taurus, great placement in the 9th house, right? Lots of love of traveling, beauty, art too, okay? So this also kind of shows the film is really Taurus is the sign of film, and also too there's other fixed stars too that are kind of prominent for performers like Formahal is also good for that. Oh, and check this out. Aldebaran. Okay, Aldebaran is one of the most powerful stars in the sky. His Venus is conjunct Aldebaran, and Aldebaran is one of the royal stars. So we have Aldebaran, let's see, let me see if I can remember the other ones. Antares, Regulus, and Formula. Formula, I don't know. It says Formula Halt if you kind of speak French. But all these stars are very powerful, and if you have one prominent in your chart, it can show us a rise and sudden fall. Now, Aldebaran is opposite Antares too, so this denotes a lot of power. So I think that if he wanted to, he could run into, he could probably go into politics actually. So Forrest, if you see this, run for office. You also got all these planets too in the 12th house in the sign of Leo, and Leo is also to the sign of Leo's also the sign of politicians. Now, one of the things that you want to keep in mind is his Jupiter is debilitated in the sign of Capricorn. However, his Jupiter is retrograde. And so when any planet's in retrograde in a sign of exaltation, it's a Nietzsche Banga. And what it does is it overrides the exaltation. And so really how this works is if you look and see how this develops over time, this really shows somebody that's hardworking. Also, too, it's conjunct Saturn, and Saturn is retrograde in the 5th house. Saturn in the 5th house can delay children as well. So I don't know if Forrest has any children or not, but usually this can hold it back. Now, since it's conjunct a retrograde Jupiter, that could also cancel it out as well. So, all right, everybody. thank you so much for joining me today. All the social media, Hoopachu is down below in the description box. And of course, hopefully if you haven't seen Black Panther, I have not seen it. I hear it's quite a good movie. But hopefully we can stop having, how do I say it? Everything be a superhero movie. So, all right, everybody, thanks again. And hopefully I will see you on my channel in the future.